When you see the words carbonara on a restaurant menu, you generally think of bacon carbonara, and it's creamy, it's unctuous, it's smoky, it's so delicious. We're not making that today. We're gonna try something a little bit different. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Tommy vs. Time, the series where we test your favorite cookbooks, your favorite meals, and see if we can actually hit the meals in the allotted amount of time. One of my biggest pet peeves, as you probably know, and the part of the reason I started this channel is simply because I don't believe them. You know, the idea that you can make a meal in 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever, I wanted to test that out, so that's what we're doing today. Now, I did mention in the intro that we are making a slightly different version of a carbonara, which, by the way, I have never made, so we're gonna see how that goes. And what makes this carbonara different is that we're not using bacon, we're using chorizo. Now, we're also using a few other things that are gonna make it a little bit different. There's some yogurt, just FYI. It seems weird to me, but I don't know. I've never made carbonara, so maybe that's how you make it. Maybe that's the Nona's secret recipe. I don't know. The point is, it looks delicious. It also comes with a Catalan market salad. Whatever that is, I don't know. I think Jamie Oliver just might have made up a few words and put them together. But basically, it looks like a fresh salad. It's got some clementines, got some endives for some bitters. It's got some pine nuts and some mint. It looks refreshing, it looks good, and I'm excited to actually try it. Now, as always, if you are enjoying any of these videos, guys, please feel free to hit that like button, subscribe, or hit that little dinner bell thingy, because it'll let you know when the next video comes out and helps us out quite a bit in the old YouTube algorithm. So with our shameless self-plug out of the way, let's get to those ingredients. Oh, and before that, B-roll. All right, so with that beautiful B-roll out of the way, let's get through the ingredients. Now, of course, we're gonna need some pasta and some chorizo and some other things, but we're actually gonna start with our Catalan salad. Now, if you've never heard of this salad, well, get in line, I haven't either. But the ingredients are actually fairly straightforward and actually pretty delicious. So you're gonna go ahead and start with an endive. Now, this is a green endive. It's quite bitter, but it will go well with the rest of the ingredients. So with all that bitterness, we're gonna go ahead and add some more bitterness with a radicchio or a red endive if you can find one. I can't seem to find one, but what can you do? So go ahead and move that to the side and then grab yourself 2 handfuls of fresh mint. Fresh is important, guys. Make sure it is nice, green, vibrant, and fragrant. Next, for a bit of crunch, you're going to add 1 ounce of pine nuts. We will be toasting these. If you do want more, go ahead and grab some if you'd like. Just keep in mind these are very expensive, so just, 1 ounce should do. Next, you'll want 1.5 ounces of manchego cheese. This is a hard ripened cheese. Has a really nice sort of flavor, and it is sheep's milk, so go ahead and find yourself some good quality manchego. Before adding yourself 2 very large handfuls of spinach. You can use any spinach you like, but go ahead and find some baby spinach if you can. You'll also want to grab 2 clementines. These are going to add a nice, bright, acidic, sweet note to our salad and will pair well with the rest of our ingredients. Now, of course, this wouldn't be much of a salad without some dressing, so you're going to want to grab yourself 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of cherry vinegar, and 1 teaspoon of honey. Of course, you can add more honey or more vinegar or more oil as you see fit, but this is the general ratio we'll be using. So that covers our ingredients for the salad. Let's move on to the pasta and the carbonara. So like with any pasta, you're going to want to grab, well, pasta. So go ahead and grab yourself 11 ounces of penne or rigatoni, or really any pasta that you like, but this goes best with this dish, while rigatoni probably comes in a close second. But something that never finishes second, in my opinion, is chorizo. And chorizo, guys, is a wonderfully smoked Spanish style sausage. It is full of flavor, full of fat. So you're gonna wanna grab yourself 2.5 ounces of this wonderful, spicy, delicious sausage. And speaking of spice, you're gonna wanna go ahead and grab yourself 2 of your favorite peppers. I'm using bird's eye peppers here. Next, you wanna grab the juice from a half a lemon or the whole lemon if you like a little bit more of that bright acidic note. To that, you'll be adding 2 fresh sprigs of rosemary, 4 cloves of fresh aromatic garlic, 1 room temperature egg, and finally 2 large tablespoons of fat-free yogurt. In this case, guys, I'm using Greek yogurt. And that covers all our ingredients, so you're gonna wanna go ahead, move that all to the side, grab your timer, set it for 15 minutes, and let's get going. So the first thing you're going to do is grab a pan, place your 1 ounce of pine nuts in there, and do it as dramatically as possible, of course, then place these on the stove at a low or medium heat. You do not want to burn these. So off camera, I have a pot of boiling salted water. Go ahead and add your pasta to that water before moving back to prep your endive. So for the endive, you just want to chop the bottom off and then cut this into thirds. You should have loose leaves like this that will go directly into our bowl. Next, you'll grab your red endive, or in this case, radicchio. You're only gonna need about 1/4 of this, so go ahead and remove the core and then either chop or peel the leaves off. I do recommend in hindsight that you probably just chop it, it's a bit faster. But once you've done that, guys, you'll have a beautiful, just bright color to add to your bowl. Next, you're gonna grab your 2 large handfuls of spinach, and those are just gonna go directly in the bowl as well. With everything in the bowl, just give us a quick mix so they kind of all get incorporated before grabbing your clementines. Now, this is where you realize you have no nails, so grab your stabbiest of kitchen tools and just go ahead and give that a quick little slice. There we go. And begin the peeling process. Once you remove the clementines from their fleshy prison, go ahead and give these a quick slice. Now, the nice thing with clementines is there are no seeds, so you can cut right through it, but you are looking for thin slices that look a little bit like this. So go ahead and toss those into the bowl with the rest of your ingredients before heading to the stove to grab your now toasted pine nuts. So go ahead and grab those very hot pine nuts and proceed to burn your fingers on them. Shake it off and lay them over your beautiful looking salad. And again, don't forget extra points for pouring them over dramatically. Now we have the makings of a beautiful salad, but we're missing one thing, and that is our mint. So go ahead and peel the leaves off of the stems, and this is gonna take a while, so we're just gonna, go ahead and speed that up nice and fast. There we go, and with that done, we're gonna then quickly roll this up and then just give it a fine slice. With the mint sliced up, go ahead and grab your bowl and then just add this mint to the salad like so. You should basically be on your way to the vinaigrette, which is going to consist of 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 2 tablespoons of our sherry vinegar, followed by 1 tablespoon of our honey. Now the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon, but I wanted a bit more sweet note here. So give that a quick mix and then put this off to the side. So next you're gonna wanna grab your manchego cheese and try to take a potato peeler to it. Realize that that is a stupid idea, and then you're gonna grab yourself a knife. With a knife in hand, go ahead and try to thinly and awkwardly cut the slices of manchego off, but basically something that's thin that you can kind of break apart as if you had shaved Parmesan cheese onto a salad. It's sort of the same idea here, but obviously this has a much different texture. And as with any cheese, we're going to want to go ahead and give that a taste test, and it's pretty good, but let's keep making our salad. So go ahead and put the rest of your manchego cheese and just again, dramatically pour that over your salad. With that done, there is our finished Catalan salad. Let's move to the pasta. And we're going to start with our chorizo. So go ahead and cut this in half. This should give you about 2.5 ounces. So once you've removed the plastic, you can go ahead and cut this into a thin slice, because we're going to show it off to the camera. You can see this wonderful fat, the spice, and the color, but it's a bit too big that way, so we're going to cut this lengthwise once and then cut this into thin slices again, so this way we get a bit more distribution and should have something that looks like this. Next, grab yourself your spicy peppers, take the tops off, and then begin to finely dice them as well. Once done, you should have something that looks a little bit like this, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to our rosemary. So for the rosemary, you're going to want to just grab the whole stem and just pull down, and you should be able to remove most of the leaves. Then just run your knife through it quickly, so you should have a nice coarse looking rosemary like so. So move that to the side and move back to your manchego cheese, which you're going to then quickly grate. And we're looking for about 1 to 1.5 ounces of cheese here. So with the cheese grated, you're going to want to grab another bowl, grab your egg, and just crack it into the bowl. With that, you'll be squeezing in the juice of half of a lemon, followed by 2 large tablespoons of our fat-free Greek yogurt. With the yogurt in, you're going to want to grab the rest of that manchego cheese and just quickly throw that into the bowl. Of course, now it is time to mix, so go ahead and mix that all up. This is going to be our carbonara sauce. Now, I've never made one of these, so we're going to see how this turns out. So go ahead and mix until smooth, and then season with some pepper, a healthy pinch of salt, and go ahead and mix again. With the mixing done, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. So it's time to move back to our stove, but before we do that, we're going to realize that yes, we have run out of time, so we're going to go ahead and restart this timer before we get our chorizo in the pan. So go ahead and add a tablespoon of olive oil to a medium-high heat pan before adding your chorizo. Now you won't need to cook this very long, but you do want those oils to release before you add your rosemary and your spicy peppers. Give that a quick mix and incorporate all these flavors and wait about 20 or 30 seconds before you go ahead and crush some of your fresh garlic into the mix. You want to use all 4 of your cloves here, just put them through your garlic press and then give this a mix yet again. And you should have a very colorful and aromatic mix that we're going to add our already boiled noodles to. So add your strained noodles to the mixture, and then obviously you're going to want to toss these quite quickly, making sure that nothing burns and also that nothing sticks to the bottom of your pan. Now to deglaze the bottom of the pan and to add a little bit more moisture, go ahead and add some of that starchy hot water that we have left over from our boiled pasta. This will help thicken the sauce, but also just add a lot of flavor and just keep everything nice and moist. And finally, grab your egg, yogurt, and cheese mixture and throw that in the pan as well. Give this a quick toss and you should be left with a beautiful, silky, smooth carbonara that looks something like this. This is a beautiful plate of pasta with a tremendous amount of flavor, guys. It looks great and I cannot wait to dig in. But before that, of course, we want to give you another close-up just to remind you what you're missing. Now, I don't want to be rude, but of course, I'm going to have to continue to be a little bit mean, so grab your plate and start serving up that beautiful pasta. Now, I will note that while I've never made carbonara before, I did let this sit for a little longer than it should have, and I think the sauce kind of got a little bit, well, not so saucy on me, as you can kind of see. So I add a little bit of olive oil to sort of freshen that up and give it some color. You're also going to want to top that with some pepper before grabbing your salad and plating that up as well. Now, I didn't dress my salad in the large bowl, so I'm going to go ahead and mix up our dressing and just pour over what I need for this meal. Here I use about 2 or 3 teaspoons worth. And there you can see, guys, our completed chorizo carbonara and Catalan market salad, all in 15 minutes, well, not 15 minutes, actually closer to 23 minutes, 22 and a half minutes basically for this meal, guys. So unfortunately, definitely not a 15-minute meal, as you can see, but nonetheless, a delicious and very fragrant and interesting meal that I definitely recommend you give a shot. And speaking of time, this segues nicely into our scoring. So as you know, we like to rank this on taste, ease of use, cost, and time. Clearly, as you saw for time, guys, we failed. We were 7.5 minutes over the mark. It is supposed to be a 15-minute meal, and this includes with all your ingredients out and water already boiling. Now, I would chalk this up to the fact that there was a couple of different things to actually prep, and the cooking times for each thing was a little bit different, but also just the fact that I never made a carbonara, so I had to kind of go back and check the instructions a few times, probably more than I would have originally liked. Now, while we failed on time, the taste did not disappoint at all. Guys, I've never made a carbonara. I know this is not a traditional bacon carbonara either, but this is amazing. I give this a 10 out of 10. I love the spice, I love the rosemary, and I love the just beautiful, just salty depth of flavor that you get from that chorizo. And of course, the whole sauce and binding comes together nicely with the pasta, so really it just had a really good flavor, and the salad has an excellent balance between the sweet and the bitter and the pine nuts, and just has a lot of flavors for something that only has a few ingredients. So really, guys, I think this is probably our first 10 out of 10 score, so kudos to this recipe. I honestly think there's even room for improvement, adding a little more spice to the pasta, and also just getting a little bit better at the carbonara itself. Up next is ease of use, guys. I give this an 8 out of 10. Honestly, I would have given this a 9, but making the sauce with the egg is a bit tricky, and honestly, I'm not that familiar with it, so there's no special techniques. A lot of it's very basic, just some chopping, some slicing. There's a lot of different things to do, mind you, but in terms of the difficulty of them, it's actually quite straightforward. Again, if you have made carbonara before, you're probably laughing at me, but I will say overall, it's pretty easy to get all this done. And finally, that brings us to cost. How much is this meal going to set you back? Well, surprisingly, this meal actually totaled out at about $16.70. That is a per plate cost of $4.17. So that's actually really, really good. I mean, it's not surprising given that we're using some fairly basic ingredients. We didn't use that much of the expensive stuff, which is our chorizo and our cheese. So overall, this was $4.17. That is an 8 out of 10 in my books, guys. Really solid score overall with a 26 out of a possible 30 because we do time as a pass fail. So guys, definitely recommend you give this one a shot. It's not going to be a 15-minute meal unless you're a whiz in the kitchen and you really know your way around a carbonara and you know what a Catalan salad is, which I did not. but this will give you a lot of opportunities to try some different flavors and something maybe that you're not used to doing. So again, guys, very much worth the effort. Again, I wish it had taken me 15 minutes, but this is why we do these recipes. So fail on time, which is unfortunate, but the taste and the ease of use is definitely worth it, and it's cost effective. Alright folks, so there you go, there's our Chorizo Carbonara from Jamie Oliver's 15-minute meals. If you guys are enjoying any of these videos, I highly recommend that you go check out some of the other videos we have on the channel. And of course guys, as always, thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. We will see you in the next one.